My debut feature film Melanie's Grave comes out this September, but it took 10 years to get it from script to screen. Come with me in this series of behind the scenes videos and I'll tell you all about the problems I had to endure over that time period. Having to reshoot the entire film from scratch, firing my leading lady after 5 days, enduring a fire, a rail strike, arguments on set, police shutting us down, the tale of a firearm, council workers disrupting the shoot and a whole host of other problems, including one of my actors trying to get a crew member into bed, in my actual bed. So if you want to hear these stories and more, like, follow, subscribe and stay tuned over the coming weeks and months. So part 1 is really to introduce myself and what the film is about. So I'm an independent filmmaker. I've made over 100 short films, web series episodes and videos, all of which were self-funded, and the same was true of Melanie's Grave. So what is Melanie's Grave about? So it's a thriller essentially about a woman, Mel, played by the excellent and award-winning Rachel Meredith, who was held hostage in her own home by armed gunman Rob, played by James Trenholme, after a bungled post office robbery. So he's been shot in the leg and he's got no way of escape, so he has to wait out for gang member Sam, played by Mike Carr, to come and pick him up, because there's police just swarming all over the estate, so he's basically stuck there. But what he doesn't realise is that he's picked the wrong house and the wrong person to mess with. So Mel has this very dark past, which we see in a series of flashbacks throughout the film, which gradually explains what happened to her as a young girl, with her abusive parents played by Melanie and myself. So I've got a part in the film as well. I'll give you a more detailed rundown of the characters and actors in part 2, but Mel has a social worker called Zoe, played by Susan Wiseman, who is helping to get Mel's life back on track after what's happened in the past. So without giving away too many spoilers, there's deaths, there's fights, there's chase sequences spattered throughout the film. So the film was originally shot in 2015, but it had to be reshot in 2016, but it started back in 2014 when I was writing the script, so basically a 10-year period. So this version of the film was shot and completed back in 2016, but it would be another 5 years before post-production was completed. And at that point, I then got a sales agent and a distributor, and the film went to the Cannes and Berlin film markets, and I entered it into various film festivals and I won a few awards. And after 10 years, the film is now getting its release this September. So that's a brief intro into the film and what's coming up in this video series. So stay tuned, you won't be disappointed, and by supporting me and the film, you'll be supporting independent filmmakers who don't have the means to promote, market, sell their films and can't compete with Hollywood and the bigger film companies, but whose films are just as good, and I'd argue sometimes better, than the big blockbusters and the huge A-list kind of star actor films. So I'll end this video with a little taster of the film to whet your appetite. And that's it for this episode. So if you want to hear more about Melanie's Grave, please like, share, follow and subscribe, and stay tuned for the big juicy stories you don't want to miss, which I'll be talking about in up and coming videos in this series.